Okay, so thank you so much. Judith Richey is joining us today. She is our emotion code practitioner and expert, and she is a dear friend of mine, and I just adore Judith. And she brings holistic healing to the mainstream and helps people find peace and balance and wellness. She's the best-selling author of Your WellBeing Guide, and she incorporates emotion code and aromatherapy, coaching, all her tools together to help you live a life free of blockages and disease. So she left what looked like to the world a rewarding career in financial services. She learned the secrets of living life on her own terms in serenity and bliss. So now she helps others do the same. And she uses her academic degree, training and degrees along with her other holistic certifications to help you on your journey, to help you release that emotional baggage and help you be the best version of yourself. So Judith, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Nicole. I'm so excited to be with you. And I just want to do a sound check. Can you hear me okay?
You're a little soft.
Okay, so I'm just going to have to talk a little louder because I walked out without my headphones today, but it's all good.
That's all good. Project.
That's right.
You might get a little nice close-up.
That's right. So I'm actually working an event today and was able to take some time off and come over here and visit with y'all. I am so excited to be here with everybody. I'm passionate about emotion code, and what I was hearing Mira and Nicole talk about at the end of Mira's presentation is so spot on with what I'm going to talk to you about today. So I have a PowerPoint I want to share with you. So give me 1 second and I'm going to get that set up. Here we go. Off and running. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about releasing trapped emotions. I found out about this when I was going through my course to become a certified holistic health coach. And I learned about lots of different modalities of ways to help ourselves. This one particular modality just kept tugging at me. And so I did a lot of research into it. And then I discovered that this was really a calling that I had. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that journey in just a second. What I have found is that by using the ability to release trapped emotions, it truly has brought people to peace, balance, and it has created abundance. And I want to address that abundance word because I'm not talking about like win the lottery kind of abundance. What I'm talking about is the abundance of, like Mira said, learning to live in gratitude, learning that those little joys and the beautiful things that you have in life every day, that is truly living an abundant life and living with that light and love in your heart. This was a really great quote from Thomas Edison. I'm going to read it. It says, "The doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will interest his patients in the care of the human frame, diet, and in the use and prevention of disease." So this is very applicable to emotion code because emotion code does those things. It helps us take care of the human frame. It helps us in the use and prevention of disease. So if you find that you are struggling under things that are just keeping you weighed down and you can't quite put your finger on it or get on top of it, if you look at your life and you're like, gosh, this is just not the way that I thought life would turn out, you're very disappointed and you carry a heaviness about that. If you feel like you're held hostage to emotions, and we're going to talk about emotions a little bit. I know Mira was talking about them and Nicole at the end of her presentation. Emotions are great things unless they have become so onerous and heavy for you that you're literally burdened from them and experiencing pain from them. So if you feel like you're held hostage, if you notice in your life that you seem to react or do the same thing over and over again, and those are destructive behaviors, you can't figure out why you're doing that. You don't want to. That's not really who you are, but it's something that shows up for you, then emotion code is something that would be a good fit for you to be able to stop those repeating patterns and stop those destructive behaviors. So let me talk a little bit about how emotion code came about. Dr. Bradley Nelson developed emotion code. He is a doctor who, when he was a young boy, was very, very ill. And his parents, like good parents do, took him to lots of doctors and tried to get him well. And the doctors could not find a cure for what was going on with him. And they were afraid that he was going to die. So his parents were desperate to do whatever they could. And they took him to some natural healers. And those natural healers actually were able to help Dr. Nelson get well and live a full life, and he has no problems from the disease that he was suffering with when he was a little boy. So he was exposed at a very young age to the fact that there are alternatives to Western medicine and different ways to bring about healing in the body. And his wife was experiencing some particular issues, and one day he was working with his wife. He's a physician, a chiropractor, and he was working with his wife, and he had a day vision. And what he saw was her heart surrounded by a wall. And so he was very intrigued by this, and he saw that her heart with this wall had a lot of emotions trapped. And so he started working with her, and being a chiropractor, he had been exposed to muscle testing. So he knew that he could tap into her subconscious and get answers from her body through muscle testing. Now, I'm going to elaborate on that in a little while. So he started asking questions of the body to see what was going on with his wife, and he discovered that she had emotions that had not been fully processed, and that was causing the distress that she was feeling. You know, emotions are a very important part of our life. We love the good emotions, the joy and the happiness and the excitement and all of those great feeling emotions that we want to keep around. But sometimes we find that we're living very numbly and that we just go through life kind of on autopilot, and we've missed those happy emotions. I mentioned a little while ago that I have a different definition for abundance, because I really feel like abundance is living in gratitude and joy and bringing that gratitude and joy from what we experience out into the world. When we don't have the ability to tap into that gratitude and joy, what's usually happened is that negative emotions are plaguing us because they've become trapped in our bodies. And we don't even know that. A lot of times those negative emotions are what are leading to our debilitating pain. It could be exacerbating depression, or even the cause of depression can be the source of broken relationships, allergies, even resentment, lost jobs, anxiety, and as I mentioned earlier, patterns of behaviors that repeat and cause heartache for ourselves and heartache for others. So when we have the ability to discover and release these emotions, we can live our lives out in true abundance, living the truest, purest expression of God's love that we're created to be, bringing light and love and joy to everyone we meet. When I found Emotion Code, I knew I had an intuitive gift to help people by discovering these emotions. And it wasn't until I truly accepted this gift that I had been given by God and purposed and intended to step into my gift and to come and help other people that things really started opening up for me to be able to help others. And so that's why I'm very excited to share this with you today. So let me talk a little bit about energy. I know you've heard the term energy healer, and that you know that there's people out there that work with energy. Well, what is that? And it kind of sounds woo-woo, and it kind of sounds a little strange, but I want to tell you that there is a growing body of scientists, researchers, and academicians who are understanding the role of energy in our lives right now. There's a new type of physics called quantum physics. It's versus the old Newtonian type physics, which is what our Western medicine is based on. And there's theories of medicine called vibrational medicine that hold that everything in our universe is energy. Our bodies, our thoughts, our physical surroundings, everything that you see and touch is energy. And that there's vibration to those energies that range from low to high. The higher the vibration, the purer the form of energy, with no blockages or disconnects. And energy literally makes up our bodies along with everything else in the universe. So our bodies have an interconnected field between ourselves and everyone else. So we're all connected energetically. And then we also have an energy field around us called the auric field. And in the auric field, there are layers that connect the body through the chakras and then directly to the energy of the meridians. And the meridians are the energy highway of how things flow in our bodies. Emotions, what we're going to talk about today, is a form of energy. And these emotions can manifest in physical form, or they can remain invisible inside your body. And I loved what was being discussed a little while ago about, emotions are okay. It's not a bad thing to have emotions. It's when they don't become fully processed that they can become trapped. So if you're feeling sad, be sad and be sad. We had 2 animals that we had to put down this last week. It was a week of sorrows, lots of tears. Even talking about it makes me emotional. I'm in the presence of the sadness and the sorrow of what happened. If I were to just put that aside and not think about it, that sorrow and sadness could become trapped in me. So I'm being with the sorrow and the sadness for however long it takes, and that's okay. So we want to make sure that we're releasing these negative emotions that do get trapped, because they can affect us adversely, both physically and emotionally. Trapped emotions are the cause of emotional distress, physical dis-ease, and then of course that leads to physical disease. They tend to lower our immune function and make the body more vulnerable to all the diseases that we come across. They can trapped emotions can distort our body tissues, block the flow of energy in our bodies, and prevent normal function of organs and glands. Eastern philosophy has long held that all physical disease comes from negative emotions that have become lodged in the tissues and the organs of the body, leading to decay and disease. And now Western medicine is starting to see that there is a mind-body-spirit connection, and that this does play into how our bodies react. So let's talk about how the mind works a little bit. There's all kinds of phraseology for the mind. We have the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. We have the monkey mind. We have the warrior. We have the shadow self. I mean, there's so many different ways to talk about the subconscious mind. You probably know already that the human mind only uses about 10% in the conscious mind. And so that means we've got a whole nother 90% of our brain back here that we're not using consciously. Now, that doesn't mean that that brain is not working. That subconscious mind is running all the time. It's doing things like keeping us breathing, keeping our heart beating, making our digestive system work, secreting the acids in the stomach that we need to digest our food. Those things just happen automatically without us even thinking about them. The other thing that our subconscious mind does is it stores huge amounts of information. It's like a virtual tape recorder that's just running. I know we don't have tape recorders anymore, right? Okay, so we'll make it an MP3 player. So it's just constantly going, recording every bit of information that we've ever come across. Everything that has ever happened to us is recorded back here in our subconscious mind. And if you think about the fact that thoughts are energy, then the subconscious has a recording of all of the energies you have ever experienced. I work with folks and am even able to go back to when they were in utero and they absorbed thoughts and energies from their mother that are affecting them in their adult life. So in your body, your cells also have a history. And all of the history of those cells are archived in that subconscious brain. So the subconscious is what we tap into to discover the trapped emotions, because the subconscious knows where they're lodged. It knows what effects they're having on you physically and emotionally and for your mental well-being. So I believe that God designed our bodies to heal themselves, and that He has given us the tools that we need to do that. Emotion code being one of them. So your subconscious, when you tap into it, knows exactly what your body needs for the healing process. In Proverbs 23:7, it says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. Our thoughts are extremely powerful, and it's through thought and belief and intention that all things happen. So if you think about it, your thoughts affect the whole world around you. So I bet you had this happen to you. You've walked into a store or maybe into a business meeting or into somebody's home and you think, this has a really weird vibe. I'm not too sure about this. Or this has a great feeling. Or you know how sometimes when you're watching House Hunters on HGTV and they walk in and they go, this house feels like home. So that's the energy that they're feeling. We don't really think about it, but it is the energy of our thoughts that we're feeling out there. So those energetic thoughts can not only be felt by you, but it can be felt by everybody around you too. So can you imagine how that energy feels? Sometimes it's going to be a low vibration energy, and sometimes it's going to be a higher vibration energy. In our heads, we have an internal dialogue that's going on all the time. There's chatter that we hear all the time. You're thinking about, what am I going to cook for supper? Oh, that girl shouldn't be wearing those pants. Oh, I don't really like his hair color. Jerk, you cut me off in traffic. Oh, it's so great to see you. So all of those thoughts that are going on, that's just that internal chatter that we hear all day long. If you start tuning into your chatter and pay attention to the thoughts that you're hearing about yourself, I'm going to guess that your thoughts are more negative than positive, that you criticize yourself more than you praise yourself, that you find all of your flaws. That negative chatter that's going on in your head can really harm you more than you know. And so you may even be around somebody and go, I can't tell you why. I just don't think that he likes me. Those kinds of thoughts. You're picking up on the negative chatter of the person that you're with. So you can feel your own vibrations and you can feel the vibrations of people that are with you. So when we use emotion code, we're able to find those trapped emotions, and that's similar to feeling the vibrations of another person's feelings or thoughts. It takes the guesswork out of trying to figure out what's swirling around in your head, and by using muscle testing, I'm able to tap into your subconscious mind and get definite answers about what negative emotions you have trapped. Once the emotions are identified and released, you can be very confident that they're going to be gone. Now, I will tell you, I work with folks that have a same emotion that comes up over and over again. It's not because at one point they had layers of that emotion occur in that circumstance or in that instance. It's because when you have a trapped emotion, then you have another circumstance and it may be something similar. You're going to have another trapped emotion around that. Let me give you an example. I worked with a gentleman and he was doing lawn work when he was a kid between high school and college. And he would go the extra mile and do extra things for the people when he would work on their yards. They didn't recognize it. Some of them didn't recognize it. They didn't pay him extra. They didn't compliment him. And he felt very taken for granted. So he kind of had this vibration of, if I do something extra for somebody, I'm going to be taken for granted. So what happened is he started attracting that to himself. And so in his business life, when he would do that and someone would not compliment him or recognize his extra efforts, he would have another instance of taken for granted. That emotion would become trapped then. So he has layers of taken for granted from different circumstances, not from the same circumstance. So our thoughts are very powerful and they set up those repeating patterns and destructive behaviors that we find ourselves in. So let's talk about universal intelligence. I talked a little bit about quantum physics and how that holds that everything in the universe is made entirely of energies. Those energies are intelligent. So right now you're probably sitting on a couch or in a chair. You may be sitting on the floor, and what you're sitting on appears to be very solid. In actuality, it's made of thousands and thousands and thousands of energies that are doing what they're supposed to do. They appear solid and help you be able to sit in it. The same phenomenon that happens to make the chair or the couch appear solid is what happens with our thoughts. Your thoughts are a form of energy, and they have the ability to obey and cooperate with your intentions. So I'm going to tell you about intentions. Think about the story of when Jesus was walking out to the boat on the water. Peter looked at him and said, I want to come to you. And Jesus said, well, come on. So Peter got out of the boat. For a little bit of time, Peter's intention was to walk on the water and walk toward Jesus. And he did that. But it was when Peter's thoughts became negative, filled with fear, that it caused him to fall into the water. So when he lost his intention, that's when everything went south for him. The same thing happens for us. We can intend that things are going to happen a certain way, and they will, both on the positive side and on the negative side. That's why it's so important to release these trapped emotions, because we want to have just the positive intentions. So that brings us to something called the law of attraction. I used to get really confused about what the law of attraction was. I really didn't understand it until I started doing this work. And basically what it is that what you're thinking about comes about. So if we believe that thoughts have energy, then we believe that when we're thinking positive things, positive will happen to us. When we're thinking negative things, negative will happen to us. I read the other day, it's kind of like this. If you see the world as a hammer, all you're going to find are nails. If you see the world as a screwdriver, all you're going to find are screws. So if you walk in expecting the worst to happen, that's what's going to come to you. If you believe that good things are going to happen, that's what's going to come to you. It's like Mira was talking about the gratitude journal. Find the things to be grateful for. Intend that the good is going to happen. And the more of the trapped emotions that you release, the more that's going to happen for you. So when you focus on and visualize your life the way that you want it to be, how it'll feel, what it's going to look like, the things that are going to be in it, that'll draw opportunities to you to create your life the way that you want it to be because of the vibrations you put out. Focusing on the things you don't want and feeling negatively will create or perpetuate those negative problems in your life. So it's through what we think, our thoughts, and what we feel, which are our emotions, that we create our life. The negative vibes that emanate from the trapped emotions that we have vibrate at a very low frequency. And trapped emotions will attract more of that type of frequency in your life. If you have a trapped emotion of anger, you'll find that you become angry more quickly than some other people over little things that you don't even understand what you're getting angry over or why you're upset about them. You'll also find that more emotions are you can tap into them more easily than you otherwise would. So if you have a trapped emotion, you're going to be angry. If you have an emotion of overwhelm, you're going to find that you're overwhelmed more often. When you release those trapped emotions, you will no longer suffer under the effects of them. So I love that idea. So where exactly are all these trapped emotions in our body? So they lodge in different areas that may have a weakness, an imbalance of energy in that area. It could be because of a genetic susceptibility, an injury, a nutritional deficiency. They're going to get lodged. Generally, they're in the digestive organs, but they can also be lodged anywhere in your body. So your shoulders, your neck. I've had people come to me who've had frozen shoulders, and we've done work and we've been able to release the emotions and their shoulder feels better. So if we think about the fact and remember that our subconscious mind governs our body and our dreams, we can tap into the body and ask it where those trapped emotions are lodged. Another thing that's cool about our subconscious mind is that it thinks in pictures. So symbols and metaphors are the language of the subconscious mind. So it's very logical for a trapped emotion to become lodged somewhere that has symbolic significance. In other words, maybe a woman experienced some type of sexual molestation when she was young. She was has a lot of trapped emotions around that, a lot of horrible feelings around that. It might be that she develops breast cancer or ovarian cancer because that has a symbolic significance because it's tied to her sexual feelings about herself. So if you think about the fact that maybe you're in a place of frustration or overwhelm and you feel like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, this is when a trapped emotion of frustration or overwhelm could literally be lodged in your shoulders. And that trapped emotion could be stuck other places and in your shoulders. So you're going to feel it where it has the most symbolic significance. I hope that makes sense for you. If you don't notice the imbalance in your body, if you're so used to living out of balance and in that place of overwhelm and just not in a place of homeostasis, you're going to not even know that these trapped emotions have been negatively affecting you for years. And this can lead to real problems with your health, both mental and physical. Excuse me. So let's talk about those physical and psychological effects. So they can affect you, those trapped emotions can affect you in distinct ways. They're going to have you have an exaggerated emotional response. I have one person that I was working with who had a trapped emotion of resentment. They didn't even know that they had this trapped emotion of resentment. And when they were 8 years old, they were passing notes in second grade class and got tattled on. And they resented the person that tattled on it, and they never even realized it. This person was plagued with hip issues, leg pain, and digestive issues. And we found that emotion of resentment. And a couple of days later, that person texted me and they're like, "You're not going to believe this, but my body is functioning so much better." This person had experienced lots of issues with digestive issues where they weren't able to go to the bathroom regularly. They experienced constipation and lots of pain. And just releasing that emotion of resentment helped their body start flowing correctly because we got the meridians back in line and got things flowing the way they were supposed to. If your trapped emotions are lodged for long periods of time, then the tissues become distorted and you suffer the effects. And we don't want any of that. I kind of call it clearing the cobwebs out. That's not a real accurate for me it's accurate. It's not a real scientific terminology, but it's kind of the way I think about it. If you think about your mind and what's going on in your mind when you have all these trapped emotions, I kind of see it as a bunch of cobwebs up there. And when you're trying to walk through life every day and every step you take, you reach up and have to clear cobwebs out of your way, well, that's going to be kind of yucky. You know, they're sticky and they block your view and they mess up your perspective on things. That's exactly what trapped emotions do. They're sticky and they block your perspective. So we want to clear the cobwebs out. So it's a real gift for you to give yourself the release of these trapped emotions. Removing them is vital to your quality of life. You can remove the unwanted negative energy clouds that are hampering the normal functioning of your tissues. Just like my person that we released resentment for, their tissues were literally affected in their digestive system so that the digestive system wasn't working correctly. So when you have that free flow of energy in your body, it will be you'll be able to reestablish that and remove those blockages, and your body can start healing. The other part of that is that your mind returns to a more natural state. You lose the anxiety, the drama, the stress, and the weight of the old emotions that keep you from progressing in your life. So I love this picture of these rocks because it's just an example, the mind thinks in pictures, and this is a really good one for me, of balance and homeostasis. So if you're feeling emotional distress, anxiety, stress and anger, sadness, grief, depression, or just can't get up and motivated about anything, you're not in a place of balance. Have you surveyed yourself to see if there's any parts of you that ache and experience pain? Do you have sleep problems? Those are all symptoms of your body, and those are the body's way of telling you that something's wrong. they're a warning sign that you need to change something or that your body needs help. So to bring the body back to a place of balance, we release these trapped emotions. You can also use chiropractic care, proper nutrition, and any of the other recommended modalities that are being talked about today in this summit. Remember that healing's a process and that it does take time. I have one client that I've been working with for months. She is so closed to feeling the emotions and the pain that she has going on, but she's willing to keep discovering and releasing. Oftentimes when I work with her, and it's a particularly deeply held trapped emotion, I'm the one who feels the emotion for her. I cry, I have this physical pain, and the release happens for her. It's really cool. And she is enjoying that. Enjoying the fact that she is coming more and more and more into a place of balance every time we work together. So how will releasing trapped emotions benefit you? You're going to find that when you're faced with a situation where you used to react, and I talked about anger earlier, so we're just going to stay with anger. Let's say that you would have an angry reaction. You're going to find that if someone does something where you used to blow up at, you're not going to have that same reaction. So things that used to get you down don't have the same power over you. You don't hold on to grudges and resentments. That just is gone. And you can even experience physical release from the pains that you've had. Like I was talking about my client with the resentment, I've had a lot of clients call me and say, I've experienced a cleansing that I'm not used to. I'm able to have regular bathroom habits. I don't have upset emotions because an upset stomach because those negative emotions that were lodged there are gone. I don't have constipation anymore because we released the trapped emotions that were held in the colon. They sleep again. Their bodies start returning to a place of homeostasis. So I hope you're familiar with meridians. This is an important part of emotion code. These are basically the energy highways. They follow very precise tracks. In every person's meridians look exactly the same. Acupuncture has used meridians for many years. The oldest book went back to 2500 BC from China that talked about meridians. And they are the reservoirs of energy. They connect with and supply all the energy in our bodies. So what we actually do, or I do, all of us who do emotion code do this, when we're doing an emotion code release, we work from, if we're working with you in person, we work from the base of the head all the way to the bottom of the spine, because that's the governing meridian. The governing meridian actually runs from the chin all the way to the bottom of the spine. We use magnets because magnets are another form of energy. And what they do is when you're releasing the emotions, you intend for the release. That raises the energy. The intention is raised energy. And then the magnet comes in and magnifies that intention. So when we pass the magnet over the governing meridian, the trapped emotion is released. It's really that simple. So it's identifying it through muscle testing and then releasing through the magnets. The belief, the intention, and the work works. So where do these trapped emotions go? Well, we just release them. And they're energies and vibrations. So those energies and vibrations are canceled out because of the energy of the magnified intention. When I pass a magnet over the governing meridian, I create a flow of opposing energy in the form of the magnified intention. That way, that trapped emotion is canceled out, it dissipates, and it disappears. Think about the strip of a credit card. It's encoded with certain information, but when you put a magnet on it, it erases all that encoded information, destroying the usefulness of the credit card. It's the same way when I release a trapped emotion. That encoded emotional energy is quickly, easily, and permanently erased from that subconscious mind when we swipe a magnet over the governing meridian. So did you know that even animals have trapped emotions? Do your dogs seem to be frightened for no reason? Or are your cats kind of skittish beyond what cats are normally skittish? Well, they have emotions too, and they can become lodged in their bodies. My daughter's horse was in an accident at Thanksgiving last year, and when he was returned to her, he had trapped emotions, and he just wasn't the same. He didn't trust people. He was very upset. You could tell he was very upset. So I went out and did emotion code on him, and I was able to release trapped emotions that he had that came about when the accident happened. One of the things I really believe strongly in is the power of prayer as a part of this process. I mentioned at the beginning of my talk that this is a God-given gift that I have of intuition. It took me a long time to really step into that. But once I did, I was able to see that this was a path that God had for me to help my clients release their trapped emotions. So when I work with folks, I pray for you when I'm releasing, and I pray for you afterwards, because this is a healing process. And my belief is that God has given us this gift to really bring ourselves into the pure love that He's created us to be. And it helps us be what we're intended for. And so when I release for someone, I always pray for the emotion to be released. And then during the healing process, I continue to pray for my clients. And I recommend that my clients pray, because forgiveness is also a part of this process. When you can forgive yourself for having that emotion get trapped, and then all the negative behaviors that have happened from it, that's very important. And it might be that there was someone else involved in the circumstance during you having that emotion trapped. Well, you want to forgive them too. That little 8-year-old boy who resented his classmate for passing the note, forgiveness for the classmate. And that's wonderful, because it really takes all of those negative vibrations out. So just like Mira and Nicole were talking about, I recommend that my clients spend quiet time journaling and meditating, writing the things that they're grateful for, and praying to reconnect them with the ultimate source of power. So emotional healing happens with essential oils in this process for me. When an emotion is released, it's a little like doing surgery at the site where the emotion was lodged. And as the body goes through the healing process, I recommend the use of essential oils to help support that healing process. So what I do is I muscle test my clients to see which particular oils they're going to need. And then I recommend a protocol, a blend, and tell you how many days or weeks to use it, and when and where to apply it. So the application of oils supports the body's mental, emotional, and physical healing process, and it's unique to each client. So that's why I muscle test for everybody. I'd love to schedule a session with you. Nicole's going to be releasing this. This is my website you can go to get on my calendar. And I'm open for any questions that anybody has. So I'm going to stop my share if I can.
Thank you so much, Judith. I love that. And you know I love emotion code. Judith and I got emotion code certified at the same time. And it's a modality that is near and dear to our hearts. So it's a very powerful one that I have personally used to heal from a lot of stuff, both in the past and current things that I deal with, and have used on lots of clients as well. So it is very, very powerful. Okay, Berta is asking if you can put up your contact information again. Here, let me pull up your little slide. I'll pull.
Perfect.
Pull that out.
While you're doing that, I want to say this too, that I think regular sessions are really helpful. And there'll be times that I feel, I'm just in a funk. I can't figure out why. There's something going on, and I've been asking this week, tapping into my subconscious, are there trapped emotions around my pet's death that I need to deal with? No, there's not. No, there's not. So I check in when things are happening. During the storms, there were a couple of things that happened for me that I just couldn't shake, and so I came in and did some release. I'll call Nicole and say, hey, can you work on me? Nicole will call me and say, hey, can you work on me? So we help each other out that way. So yes, we have emotions that are trapped from the past, but then we also have emotions that can happen yesterday, and we didn't take the time to fully process them and deal with them.
Exactly. And it's always interesting to see kind of how the body has responded. You're like, oh, I hadn't thought about that in 20 years. And you're like, oh, but yeah, that was a pretty big deal. And um, it really is a simple technique that's incredibly effective. I love emotion code because it's something like, and I've been through lots of therapy, traditional therapy in my life. And I really didn't see a lot of big results. Like, I was just dredging up a lot of stuff of past hurts and things like that. But with emotion code, you actually don't have to relive everything. Like, you identify it, but then you're able to release it and move on. And it's crazy because now it's like, it doesn't erase it from your memory, but it erases that emotional attachment. And so now I can look back on those past hurts and like, yeah, that kind of sucked, but I'm not in a moment of feeling that negative emotion again.
That's right. The other thing that happens in emotion code is it takes the blame game away.
Yes.
Because it's not other people who do stuff to us that cause these problems. There are circumstances that occur. There's a reaction that we have. So we may or may not have a trapped emotion around it. So it takes away that blame game. Like, that kid didn't purposely hurt my client. He just did what he thought he was supposed to do. He told, but my client was unknowingly holding on to that resentment all this time. So the kid got off the hook, the client got off the hook. It would just is. We were talking about being. It is just an is that we have trapped emotions. It's not anything bad that we do to ourselves. It's not anything we intend. It just happens. Anytime we don't get to fully process an emotion, it's going to get trapped. So all of us walking around the earth have them. It's a great thing to do to find yourself some balance.
It is. And it really is just, it's like, I kind of look at it like cleaning out the house. You don't just do it once. You got to do it periodically, or else stuff is going to get in hoarder-like conditions.
Yeah, like those cobwebs I was talking about.
Exactly. And it is just, it's a powerful, powerful modality that I love. I don't think we have any questions, Judith. So thank you so much. You are awesome. Good luck at your rest of your events today.
Thank you.
And we'll see you later.
Bye, Nicole. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.